Hello everybody, welcome back to Planet X News, May 13th, 2022. Well folks, are you ready for nationwide blackouts and rolling brownouts? If you don't know what a rolling brownout is, I suggest that you Google it sometime today. Just the other day, here in the Pittsburgh area, the local news stations, all of them, all three of them, had leading stories about our electrical grid. I just happened to catch it. I was sitting here at my desk and had the television on in the background. And sure enough, they were talking about a 45% increase in your electric bill in cost. A 45% increase in cost for electric beginning June 1st. Then, throughout the news piece, they started talking about blackouts and rolling brownouts. Now, maybe some of you have never heard about a rolling brownout. Well, when I lived in Miami, this was going back to the early 90s, 1990, 91, 92, and I believe also in 93. They were still expanding their electrical grid in the greater Miami-Fort Lauderdale area. And the continual high usage of electricity in the summertime for cooling would overload all of the power stations. So I guess they kind of invented this thing called a rolling brownout, where they would literally cut your electricity off anywhere from just a few minutes to sometimes a full hour or two. Now, that was kind of rare, but they would do it in the middle of the night. And, naturally, if you didn't have batteries in your electrical alarm clock, you didn't get up for work because naturally your alarm clock went back to midnight. And when you did wake up, you saw that blinking red time on your alarm clock. And, it was a big problem. What would wake you up would be the increased temperature, in your house or your apartment because you didn't have any electricity. So therefore, you had no air conditioning. And these rolling brownouts, the reason why they call them rolling, is they literally roll from sector to sector or neighborhood to neighborhood, and it's all propelled by the electric company. Well, in today's age, how is it that we do not have the proper infrastructure to maintain total electricity for a city, suburbs, whatever? Okay, that kind of blows my mind. Then they started talking about nationwide blackouts. That was kind of concerning. So I started doing my own in-depth research and looking into this. And looking into, is this happening now? Is this happening now? And why? Well, I found a pretty good blackout website where they list power outages, blackouts, and things of that nature. And later on, and probably throughout the rest of the spring and throughout all of the summer, I'm going to be sharing this information because I believe it's very, very critical for each and every one of us. So I'm a little concerned with this, but I still haven't reached the truth for why they are literally setting us up for this. And I believe that's what they're doing. Because nothing hits mainstream media, especially a story like this, if they're not, kind of programming us to expect nationwide blackouts and these rolling brownouts. So again, I'm a little concerned. What I have been looking into is the activity on the sun. And speaking of, I'm going to go over some information here with you as I speak about these blackouts and rolling brownouts. And I want you to take a look at the activity on the sun just over the course of the last several days. And I've prepared a compilation video of all of this activity. And by the way, you know, just over the last 48 hours, the sun has completely gone crazy. Numerous coronal mass ejections everywhere. Flares, X flares, M flares, C flares. It's just gone ballistic. At the same time, just a few days ago, we had the final exodus for this month of the Planet X stellar core heading downward below the ecliptic, and that will be for the next 7 days as it loops back up around. And we would expect to see this object come up on the, I was referring to the eastern limb. It's coming down. It's going to be coming back up on the western limb probably in about, I would say more or less about the next 7 days. And we should be getting new photographs. But the photographs that came in yesterday, it just took a very, very long time. I don't know why. There was a lot of data that was uploaded. I think we might have overloaded the system with all this data, literally searching for these images. And we did capture them. Unfortunately, it was only one, but it's a spectacular image. Once again, proving the 28-day orbit of this object. So let me go ahead and let's get out of here real quick, and let's go over to the actual video that I have set up for this. And this is all of the sun's activity over the course of the last several days. If you watch very carefully, you will see the massive flaring. You're going to see some X flares. You're going to see some M flares, some C flares. You're going to see coronal mass ejections exploding on the sun, on the left side, on the right side. I mean, it's just been everywhere. Now, normally we do see something like this occur as this object goes downward on the eastern limb of the sun and drops below the ecliptic. But this is one of the first times that the sun has just gone completely crazy as this object has made its exodus downward below the ecliptic. It's been several days. I believe the actual photo capture was on the 8th. So we're looking at 5 days. This object's going to be looping back around within the next 7 days. And then we're going to see it right up here on the western limb of the sun. We're going to see it right over here. So again, I've been capturing all of the solar flaring, all of the coronal mass ejections, just to put this video together for today. So I wanted you folks to see what's actually happening, over the course of 4, 5, 6 days. I guess it would be, kind of boring if I came on here every single day just to show you an X flare or coronal mass ejections and things of that nature, unless we have a historical X flare that is definitely going to be affecting the Earth's electrical grid. Now, these X flares that you're seeing now and these M flares and C flares, they are affecting radio frequencies, transmissions. I did see that there were some outages with cellular service. I believe it was Verizon, T-Mobile. They were short, intermittent. Radio broadcasting for especially for ships, emergency services, things of that nature, these blackouts that they get are worrisome also. But there's been quite a bit. There's been quite a bit, folks. Here are the images for May 8th. And again, you can see the object is enveloped in a pretty good coronal mass ejection. You could see it right here. Again, I have mentioned, just let me go ahead and stop this real quick. I've mentioned many times before these little plus marks, the blue and the red. Whenever we see this, this is taken from the Cactus coronagraph program. And they upload this data into that program, and then the program literally shows them by the little red pluses and the little blue pluses, the direction of the coronal mass ejection. Okay, so those are embedded within that program. And that's the way that we get the data. And we get the raw data. So there's no hiding. There's no hiding anything. There's no deleting hours of footage or data and then piecing it together to just show us this brief little coronal mass ejection and nothing was there. So there's definitely this very super interaction between this object and our sun. Okay, we've gone over that a million times, and you're going to hear me say it probably another million times, because we always have new subscribers coming to this channel on a daily basis. And our project is to help everybody learn and understand what is happening and not learn from the mainstream media, because we all know that they give you their own narrative, which is full of nothing but lies. So this object has now gone down below the ecliptic. It is out of sight to all of the cameras that are in space on the satellite probes. We will not see it again. Probably, I believe, on the calendar, it's going to be about the next 7 days. So I would say somewhere between the 19th, 20th, and 21st, somewhere within that little time frame, we should be able to get brand new photo captures. This time it will be on the other side of the sun. As you're viewing it right here on your screen now, that would be coming up on the right side of your screen. So we will definitely get the data, because there will definitely be multiple coronal mass ejections on the eastern limb of the sun on the 19th, 20th, and 21st. You can guarantee it. Set your clock by it, and we will definitely capture them. Okay, so we've seen the activity, and I'm going to go ahead and just let this play. We've seen the activity on the sun. This object has come downward. It has passed by the eastern limb of the sun, and we had multiple flares categorized as C class, M class, and some small X flares. The X flares are what we really need to watch out for. Okay, back in 2017, there was a pretty damn good size X flare, and it was just rotating off of the western limb of the sun, and it did affect the Earth just a little bit. But what we're worried about are those direct hits. Okay, that is something that could really wipe out an electrical grid to the side of the Earth that is actually facing that X flare. Okay, so again, we are only in the preliminary stages of this solar maximum. Again, we're only in the beginning. We have years to go through this. And the activity that we're seeing on the sun right now, folks, I'm going to be dead honest with you, not going to sugarcoat shit and call it candy. It is very alarming. Okay? The frequency of the coronal mass ejections, the X flares, these plasma releases, it is very alarming. It is super active at a stage where we should be seeing kind of a minor or gradual growth into the solar maximum. Not this super duper daily activity that is just wreaking havoc. So eventually, we're going to get to the stage where the blackouts and the rolling brownouts are going to become a daily part of life. Kind of like what I had to live with, right when I was getting out of college at the University of Miami, 1991. I'll never forget. There were so many times my graduating year. I was missing classes, late for classes, and finally figured out that wait a minute, there's a little battery backup in my my alarm. Just imagine, we're going to be having extensive heat. You're trying to sleep at night. It's boiling hot in your house or your apartment. You have no electricity, and you have no control over it. That's something that I don't like either. You don't have any control over it. You don't know when these blackouts or these rolling brownouts are going to occur. Maybe some of you won't experience it, but I believe the majority of all of us are going to experience it. And I think the reason why, and I always try to read between the lines of what mainstream, lamestream media is putting out there. So again, leading back to that news report the other day, just giving everybody a heads up about these blackouts and rolling brownouts. And you better be prepared is what they said. You better be prepared. But they didn't tell you how to prepare. Well, how else do you prepare? Flashlights, extra batteries, candles, which are, kind of dangerous because they could be knocked over and they could lead to fires and things of that nature. If you have an electric stove, well, you're not going to be doing any cooking. Microwaves, no cooking. Air conditioning, no cool air. Fan, forget about it. So I guess we're going to get a taste of this very soon. They mince this in with the 45% increase for electrical service in your homes beginning June 1st. So why all of a sudden all of this? What I think is actually happening is I think that our planet, I think that our country and the rest of the world is being hit with all of this solar energy, and it is affecting the electrical grids already. This is 2022, okay? We should have the technology that this shouldn't happen. We shouldn't have to have rolling brownouts because the electrical grids can't take everybody using their air conditioning at once. That's what it is. That's what they say. It's a strain on the electrical grid. I'm not buying it. But just like these satellites that film these views of the sun that you're looking at right now, whenever they are about to get hit with extreme conditions coming from the sun, they shut the electronics down. And we get no data for days, sometimes 5 days, sometimes 10 days. Why do they do that? Because they don't want to damage the electronics on these spacecraft cameras and probes, so they shut it down. What are they doing to us? They're shutting us down. They're shutting our electrical grid down to protect it. Okay, I don't blame them. But how about maybe telling the truth? Because I sure as hell am not buying the fact that they have to shut our electricity off in rolling brownout formations because too many people are running their air conditioners. Well, why in the hell hasn't that happened, the last couple of years? Why? Because we were in the solar minimum. The activity on the sun was peaking. It was very active. But now we are in this solar maximum. We have the interaction between the sun and the stellar core, and it is wreaking havoc on the sun. Therefore, wreaking havoc on our planet. So we better be prepared. We better be prepared as much as possible. So I've already done my preparations a long time ago. I have all of these little LED lanterns. I ordered a bunch of them on Amazon. They take 4 AA batteries. They are really, really bright. You could actually control the brightness. One of them can light up a whole entire room. And you can carry it with you from room to room if need be. I bought 7 of them. Just to keep them on hand, just for an emergency. You could take them outside, keep them in your house, keep one in each room. Now, the price of batteries, well, that's just a real pain in the ass right now because everything, price-wise, is going through the freaking roof. Now, there's no sense in buying rechargeable batteries because you can't recharge them when the lights are out. Yeah, it's good to have a set. I have a set of rechargeable batteries. I make sure that they're maintained and, they're recharged. But, after they're burned out, I can't recharge them when there's no electricity. So, I keep 2 very large packs of AA batteries, and those AA batteries, that's what all of these little lanterns, these little LED lanterns take. So I think I would probably be good to go as far as light for several days. Okay. And I'm pretty worried about this. I'm not trying to be a fear monger here or anything of that nature, but I'm right. And if any of you over the course of the last week that's listening to this broadcast right now, if you've lost power, raise your hand. Raise your hand. Now, I've been having intermittent power loss here where I live. In the course of the last 7 days, it's happened twice. Power's gone out for like 20 minutes one time, and then the other time was just for about 5 minutes. No accidents on the highways, no accidents on the roadways where people are hitting electrical poles. Okay? Nothing. And I know I'm probably beginning to be a pain in the ass to my electrical company because I call. But they really never give you any explanation. So here we are. Now we're being faced with blackouts nationwide. We're being faced with rolling brownouts, and they're going to happen. They're going to happen. I think I may already have been the victim of them this past week. Twice it's happened. And as the weather gets warmer, well, you know the routine. It just makes the situation even more uncomfortable, So I don't know exactly what these energy companies are doing. I'm hoping that they are protecting our electrical grid by formulating these blackouts and rolling brownouts. There is potential danger in doing this. Medical emergencies is number one. People that have medical devices that they need to live on, at home and things of that nature. Well, what the hell? If they shut your electricity off, your medical equipment doesn't work. What are you going to do? Very strange things happening just around the world, especially here in the United States. Oh my God. I don't even want to get into the politics because it's very, very disturbing. They're talking about this baby formula shortage. Folks, I just went to Walmart yesterday and the price of food is insane. The farmers are being hit left and right. Everywhere we look, it seems to me like we're kind of being nurtured and programmed for something. And we all know that they know more than we do. It's just, what do they know? And they're not sharing it. Because they really don't give a crap about us. Let me take a little sip of my morning coffee here. You folks might even be able to hear the birds chirping in the background in the video. We've been having some pretty nice weather here in the Pittsburgh area over the course of the last several days. The sun has been very, very intense, but the temperatures have been high 70s, very low 80s. Kind of clear skies, a little bit of chemtrailing here and there. But the sun's very, very, very intense. You can feel the heat burning on your skin if you stand in one spot. You can definitely feel it. Definitely feel it. But I wanted to show you folks some things because along with the rolling brownouts and the blackouts and all of this energy coming from the sun, we're now faced with all of this very erratic and dangerous weather. So if you watched my last live stream, I talked about the jet stream extensively, okay? And I have pulled up the jet stream and I've gone all the way back to the 7th of May. And this is the day that I think I did the live stream. I'm pretty sure. So I've gone back in time on the jet stream here on the model. And what I was showing you folks was what was setting up with the jet stream on the 7th and the 8th and the 9th and the 10th that led to the weather that just wrecked Iowa and North and South Dakota yesterday. And I'm talking about very widespread damage from very severe storms, tornadoes, golf ball size hail. I mean, you name it, they had it. And I don't want to make the live stream very, very long. I could take you over to Twitter and I could go through all of the photographs and videos like I did before, and I could show you guys all of the damage, but it's kind of depressing because people's lives are at stake and the loss of property and businesses and the damage. I don't know. It starts to get to me. But if you guys want to see it for yourself, just go over to Twitter, type in the search engine up there on Twitter, severe weather, and believe me, it will all come up. and you guys can check it out. But getting back to this. So this is our jet stream here. Huge trough right here. Cold air coming down from Canada and meeting up with that warm air. But that's not what I was really looking at here. So as I showed in the video stream from about what I think on the 7th, I think it was, I was progressing forward in the model, and I showed this huge opening right there. Let me expand it a little bit more. And I specifically said that this was very concerning, leading up to all of the damage and the severe storms that rolled up through, I think it was Iowa, Minnesota, North and South Dakota. I mean, just wrecked everything. And I said, this is what was going to happen. You know, folks, I've been a weather watcher and learning about weather for almost, I think, maybe more than 25 years. Yeah, it's more than 25 years now. So I could probably be like, you know, a little junior meteorologist. I think I get the weather right more than they do on TV. But anyways, this was the area right through there, that alleyway right there, where the jet stream just broke apart, opened up, and if you watch, it gets a little bit bigger, and this air rushes up through here. You have a huge trough here, and we'll keep expanding. This is on the 9th. This is on the 10th. This is on the 11th. And now you have all of this warm air that has literally rushed over. And look at the part of the country that we're referencing. All of the states that got the hell beat out of them yesterday. Just as I said, and I specifically said, all of these states in this corridor, you better watch out in the week to come, because you are going to be in the bullseye for some very, very severe weather. And folks, listen, this is not the end of it. This is going to be a continual pattern that we're going to be faced with, and not just this summer. You know, this is going to be our weather for a very, very long time, meaning very extreme weather. Everything is being upped a few levels in intensity. Reason being, we have a big problem out there in the center of our solar system. We always, we reference it as this planet X, this stellar core object. Well, that's the only damn thing that's new to our solar system. It is orbiting our sun every 28 days. It is wreaking havoc on the sun. The interaction between the two, the star, our star, and this object, it's clear as day. I mean, I've documented it so much that starting to run out of computer space. So this is what we're looking at. So this all occurred. So let me go ahead and just forward this real quick and get out of this boring stuff. So as you can see, the way that this moved, and here we are today. So I would say that this is moving eastward. There may be a high possibility states that will be in the bullseye: Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana, possibly Illinois, Ohio, where I'm at here in Pennsylvania. This weather could really, really, really change drastically, okay, over the course of the next several days. So what I just showed you here that was being set up several days ago, according to what I was analyzing on the jet stream back then, okay, several days ago. Okay, so let's get out of the jet stream and let's actually take a look at what actually occurred. Okay, so let's just zoom in a little bit here. And here are those states that I called out almost a week ago, warning you, anybody in those states, to be prepared. North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa. And you can see right up there, right at the this section of Wisconsin. I haven't gotten any feedback on what's actually happened up there yet, but I'm going to go ahead and search it out on Twitter. You can see how extensive, how severe those storms were. And if I back off a little bit here, you could see the whole entire system almost kind of forms like a question mark. It almost turned into a very, very large cyclonic motion, which would have been, that would have produced even more damage than it did. And then we already have some rotation right down here. And this was produced by a storm front last week that came across the entire United States that was over 1,800 miles long. Part of the storm system moved off of the coast of Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. And because of the rotation and the jet stream, it literally pulled it into that rotation, and it is pulling it back on to shore. Now, some upper level winds and wind shear is tearing it apart, thank God. Because what was actually setting up a week ago was a pretty major storm system that would have rolled into northern Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina, and would have packed a punch, and I believe probably would have seen some very, very severe flooding, possibly some tornadoes, and a lot of rain. So right now, it doesn't look like it's doing much. It looks like it's being sheared and ripped apart, and it's being picked up by the air currents and kind of moving off to the north and staying out in the Atlantic. So that would be the best case scenario, but at any given time, you know that all of this can change. On top of what is happening now, we're also dealing with a lot of heat, a huge heat bubble in the central part of the United States. I know in Texas, talking to a friend of mine down there day before yesterday, and it was a little over, I think he said 103 already in May, and he's like, I want to get out of here now. He said, I'm sorry I moved to Texas. Where are you going to move? You can't run from any of this stuff, folks. Doesn't matter what state you're in. We're all going to have extreme weather in one shape or another. The extreme temperatures that I think we're going to see coming up are going to be severe. I think we're going to see them moving up into Canada again. It's going to be everywhere. So you can see that the little prediction that I made less than a week ago was pretty spot on. And I'm going to continue to analyze the jet stream because it's completely whacked out. It's completely out of control. It is so abnormal. So abnormal. But lamestream weather forecasting on the lamestream media channels, they won't tell you that. But deep down inside, A meteorologist is a weather scientist. And you know damn well that in the course of their day, when they're analyzing these models, and they've been looking at the jet stream for the last several years, they know, because they're seeing it with their own eyes, that something is just not right. Because this is not what they were taught. When they were in little meteorology school and studying weather and weather patterns and the jet stream and learning about it, it sure as hell didn't look like it does today. And that is the main thing that drives weather worldwide. So, what is it going to be like for the hurricane season? Now, we could already see, this is Africa right over here, way, way over here. We could already see some intense weather systems rolling off the coast. It's already firing up. What will happen? Well, we're going to see. It has a long way to go, but the setup for the formations of tropical storms and hurricanes is kind of just not there for these storms that you're seeing. They're pretty much just being sheared away. A lot of activity right here. A lot of activity out here. But again, based on the wind currents and the jet stream, it's pretty much being sheared away and kind of destroyed, which is a good thing. But what keeps occurring out here, where all of this weather keeps coming up from the South Pacific area over here, moving over Mexico into Texas, these very hot areas, and then with the expansion of troughs that are moving downward of cool air, the way that jet stream is forming and pulling that cold air, the cooler air downward. The explosions of those two systems colliding together, well, that's what will be spawning all of these tornadoes, all of this severe weather, and we're going to be moving into situations here where there is going to be a lot of flooding because of the massive amount of rain that is going to come down in a very, very short period. Okay? So this is weather that, we really haven't seen consistently throughout our lifetimes. Yes, we've seen floods. Yes, we've seen heavy downpours of rain. But if you really think about it, folks, and if you just really sit back and think about what the last 5 years has been like, and that's all that we've been seeing, is the general escalation of these storms and the intensity of the storms. They call it climate change. Well, I don't see this as any type of climate change. I see this as a massive disturbance to the planet that we live on. That is what is changing. It's not the damn climate. You have another factor out there that is promoting this, that is escalating it, that is creating it. That is not climate change. I hope all of you would agree with me on this. It's not climate change. The climate is not changing. The intensity of the storms, the wobble of the Earth as it rotates around the sun, the interaction between that stellar core object orbiting the sun every 28 days, the intense radiation coming from the sun, the solar storms, the heavily charged particles. We had a couple of big earthquakes over the past 5-6 days. And I think what we're going to be seeing here in the very near future coming up are going to be, and I'm talking in the very near future, like within the next, I would say probably within the next month or so, we're going to start to see an expansion on larger earthquakes, magnitude 6 and 7, and we're going to see an influx in volcanic activity worldwide. Worldwide. Mark my words right here on this damn video. And when it happens, you'll say, oh, yep, Scott called it again. Boom, right on it. Trust me, folks, I know my stuff. I've been doing this for a very, very long time. I understand it. It's almost to the point where I can feel it. I can see it, I can just see it coming. My blinders are off. I've got like this tunnel vision on this, and I can see it all happening. And that's why I just, kind of put out a little bit of a warning for folks that may be living in these areas to, hey, look, this is a little heads up. Okay? Maybe you got a couple of days to think about it, prepare, and then boom, it's right on top of you. And things are going to be forever changing. And in order to protect ourselves and our property and our families and your own self, having a little forecast, a little head start helps. Now, going into some headlines just over the course of the last couple of days. Once again, unseasonable heavy rain hits Queensland, Australia. Man, the Aussies have been getting sacked left and right with a lot of rain. I think it was Sydney the week before, now Queensland. A lot of very, very severe weather in the southern hemisphere. Right over here, Red River Valley facing its worst flooding in a decade. Canada, U.S. We have the fires that are already wreaking havoc in Colorado and California. God, man, that's like an every year now. A lot of increased volcanic activity. And this was the weekly volcanic activity report from the 4th to the 10th. We're already seeing an uptick in volcanic activity. We are seeing a little bit of an uptick in earthquake activity, seismic activity. I think that's really, really going to start ticking off in, I'd say, about the next 10 to 14 days. But anything is possible. Talking about weather, right here. Tropical cyclone Asani intensifies, moving west-northwest toward India. And it smashed right there. Smashed right in to the southern region of India, on top of the northern tier and central tier of India being under very, very extreme heat. 2 weeks ago, they were breaking records of 123 degrees. 123 along the Indian-Pakistani border. Yeah. Even right over here, heightened volcanic unrest continues. And this is another volcano that is ready to pop. How do you pronounce that? Rupahu? Why don't they name these volcanoes like very easily pronunciated words for us? You know? But the Cleveland volcano, same thing. May 11th, elevated color code, volcanic alert. I mean, everything's raised. Everything is elevated. So, it's just, here we go. Here we go. We're just moving straight forward. Here was the earthquake, May 9th. Shallow 6.3 earthquake hits Bismarck Sea, Papua New Guinea. So, it just goes on and on. Oh, and speaking of, this was May 11th. South Africa heading for another year of record-breaking power cuts. Well, what we refer to as rolling brownouts, when they do that in South Africa, they call them power cuts. Okay, power cuts. So they're already setting up for it. They've already unleashed it and they're setting us up for it here in the United States. And I would assume, based on each individual company and the infrastructure of their power grids, they're probably setting up their own people. Or they may not say any damn thing to them. Okay, so one thing that I'm going to be doing here, I'm going to work on possibly this weekend, is I'm going to be adding a page to the Planet X News website. And it's going to be an update page on breaking headlines that are going to be dealing with all of this stuff that you've just seen. Earthquakes, volcanoes, weather, flooding, extreme heat, things of that nature. And you'll be able to go straight down the list. There'll be links. And you'll see a headline. And if you want to, you can click on it. You can read about it real quick. And you can actually keep track of what's happening to our planet. And as I keep saying, folks, over and over again, this is just the beginning. Plain and simple. This is just the beginning. I know a lot of you have been emailing me, asking me how Dr. Albers is doing. She has good days. She has bad days. The extreme exhaustion is a pretty big deal. Dr. Albers was so used to being very, very active, working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it's just something that she can't do at the moment. We've gotten everything straightened out with her stem cell replacement that's going to be on July 8th. And we have to travel to Florida for that. And she's excited and scared at the same time, but understanding that this procedure pretty much is going to save her life, prolong her life, give her hopefully folks, it's just real. It's kind of hard for me to talk about because I just it just makes me very sad. Hopefully everything pans out. I wanted to give a big shout out once again to everybody out there who has contributed financially to help this lady out. You folks are literally saving a life, and I hope that you understand that. Dr. Albers has given a tremendous amount to education. She's given her life. And it's emotional. When you have hundreds, thousands of people that out of the kindness and goodness in their hearts band together to save another. It has definitely humbled me. It has changed me. So, we are getting very, very close to the goal to guarantee that she gets down there and the stem cell replacement procedure occurs, and hopefully it just all goes right. We're getting very close to that goal. And for all of you that have participated in contributing, I just have to say thank you. That's all I can really say is thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I know Dr. Elbers thanks you. Every time I read some of the emails to her, she gets a little emotional. But we still have some time between now and then. So, if anybody would like to participate and contribute to her medical fund for this procedure coming up, the link is in the description box under the videos. And with that said, folks, once again, thank you very much for all of your support. It's been incredible. We're going to keep moving forward. Unstoppable. You folks are fantastic. So keep an eye in the sky. I'm going to cut this video. Just very emotional. It really truly touches your heart. Thank you. Keep an eye in the sky. Keep yourself very safe, folks. Pay very close attention to your weather. And I'll probably be back with another stream sometime this weekend. I have a lot of things to attend to this weekend, but I will probably touch base with you folks. Once again, thank you all for what you've done. Take care.